Morning and hopefully Saturday afternoon too. For the splendid instructions to the mind by Raghunath Das Goswami with commentary by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So I thought we'd do a quick review. Is that all right with everybody? Okay. So again, we published a new translation of the Srimana Shiksha with Bhaktivinoda's commentary, and first time ever published Bhaktivinoda songs on Manashiksha, and also commentary by contemporary Vaishnavas. And I think we have a few books left, right? Not so many, few. So if you'd like to get a copy here, maybe we could turn off the... Is that possible? So among the reasons that this book is important is that it's a padati, it's a step-by-step guide to attain spontaneous love for Krishna in Vrindavan. And particularly it gets into the psychology of bhakti, also important as we discussed yesterday. It establishes that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and Srila Prabhupada were teaching a bona fide path of spontaneous devotion. Talked about how the book is divided into 3 sections: the qualifications, orientation, which we've already covered, obstacles and how to get through them, which we've covered one of, these steps after having attained perfection, and then a benediction. So the first verse of qualification was about what? What was the main point here? Having what? Attachment. Excellent. Ratima purvam atitaram. An attachment for? Guru. Good. And? Okay, well, this one, process of surrender to the lotus feet of the divine couple. Attachment to? Holy places, which includes this temple. Any temple. Right? If you're dressing the deities beautifully and you're knocking down the walls in the temple and throwing trash everywhere, that's not attachment to the holy places. Sorry, I have something particularly on my mind today. And this is attachment to the holy places in India, but also these places in our own homes and so forth. And attachment to? This one is, oh, I'm not here. You didn't tell me that nothing's here. I'm like thinking it's there, and it's not there. Ah, come on, guys. Tell me. There's nothing on the screen, Urmila. You got to tell me these things. You're just like, oh, yeah, it's supposed to be like that. Gosh, you thought it was supposed to be like that. Krishna Chaitanya, and then I look there. It's like, why are they saying the wrong things? Because there's nothing up there. All right, let's go through this again. And I'm pushing the buttons on my computer, and I think something's happening. All right. The picture was, so you were just absorbed in the beautiful picture, that just flowing with it. All right. Okay, let's try this again. Attachment to our teachers. Hare Krishna. To the process of surrender to the lotus feet of the divine couple, to the holy places. Now we have it. There we go. To the holy places. No, it's still there. All right, an attachment to devotees, especially here devotees who live in meditation in Vrindavan, and to the serious practitioners of every tradition. This doesn't mean anybody who claims they're religious. Okay, it doesn't mean we have to have great attachment to people who, blow up planes and say they're religious. It's not. Please don't go there. This is serious practitioners, people who have some genuine realization of God. It just might not be Krishna in Vrindavan. So this is those who meditate on Krishna in Vrindavan, and then serious practitioners of any religion, any tradition, even if they're not focused on Krishna in Vrindavan. They're worshiping Lakshmi Narayan, or they're worshiping God the Father, and so forth. And this one is attachment to Brahmanas who teach Varnashram and mantra and the holy name. Yes, this was our painting for verse 1. We said it's not just love. One also has to make an effort, not just depend on luck. And then one has to always give up pride, right? And we talked quite a lot about what is the problem with pride. And then we start on our journey to giving up pride, and we're told to give up the false ego of either dharma or adharma, right? Which could be understand that we go to akarma because both dharma and adharma, they entangle us, and this is a matter of identity, identifying as Krishna's secret agent, doing everything to please him, and then seeing Lord Chaitanya as the same as Nanda Nandana, actually seeing every incarnation like that. Here's my Krishna, and we talked about our painting for this verse, and seeing Guru as Krishna's friend. So the first verse seeing Guru as our friend, second verse seeing Guru as Krishna's friend. Let's get back. I want to just look at something with dharma and adharma that I didn't do yesterday. So can you think of anybody in the scriptures, personalities in the scriptures, who got blocked in their bhakti because they were attached to ordinary dharma? Maharaj Yudhisthira on the battlefield. Who else? King Nriga. Oh, no one's ever suggested that before. Thank you. Bharat, when he took care of the deer. Some other examples? Bhishma, yes, and fighting on the side of the Kurus. Dasarath, perhaps, in keeping his promise. Arjuna at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, right? The Yajnik Brahmanas, Daksha, so many examples of people who become attached to materialistic dharma and have a problem with bhakti. And of course, we can many people who are attached to adharma and had a problem with bhakti. And then verse 3, we talked about Pratijanur being what? Patient, even life after life. So this is a deeper level of giving up pride. So first there's attachment, but then I could have attachment but the wrong identity. I could have attachment the right identity. The path of spontaneous devotion, we talked about regulated practice and spontaneous practice, and how Swarup Damodar taught spontaneous practice in two forms, an outer path, right? An outer path to Vikeshwara Pandit and an inner path to Raghunath Das Goswami, which is this Manashiksha, and we talked for a while about how Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was indeed teaching spontaneous devotion through this inner path. And that when one is following the inner path, externally one's activities are the same as in regulated devotion. Give us a jewel that will conquer the prostitute of mundane talk and the tigress of talks of liberation, even to the point of wanting to enjoy the Lord's opulences. All right, so that was where we ended with yesterday. Was that helpful to have a review? Okay, we'll do another quick review tomorrow morning also. Yes? Sure, we could take a few minutes of questions before we do new material. Yes. Yes. Sounds a little excessive, doesn't it? And in fact, he's using the word excessive. One should have a lot of unprecedented attachment. Why do you think we should have such attachment even for beginners and intermediates? Why shouldn't we just have unprecedented and yes?
You mentioned that the qualification is very strongly put forward in Srila Bhagavatam Swami. So the qualification of the Nutama that they will see people.
That's a very good thought. However, just think for a minute. Think about the verse 4. Do you think Uttama Adhikaris are going to have problems with verse 4? This is a padati. So because it's a padati, verse 1 is the beginning step. If verse 1 is establishing you yourself have to be an Uttama Adhikari before you can go to verse 2, then it wouldn't make sense as a padati. An Uttama Adhikari wouldn't have an Uttama Adhikari according to nectar of instruction. or an Uttama Adhikari according to Bhagavatam 11th canto, not an Uttama Adhikari according to Nectar Devotion, or even according to Manashiksha. But those other kinds of Uttama Adhikaris who already see everyone equally, they wouldn't need verse 2, na dharma, na dharma. They wouldn't need verse 3, pratijanara. And they wouldn't need verse 4, don't do the prostitute of mundane talks and the tigress of liberation or be attached to the Lord's opulences. They're already past all those things. So we're talking in verse 1 of someone who isn't past all those things. Yes? Yes. They're very dear to Krishna, exactly. Also, it's just a matter of time. If somebody started on the process, unless they commit Vaishnava aparad, they're going to come to the top platform. It's a matter of time. And although that time may seem very significant from our perspective, from Krishna's perspective, it practically doesn't exist. It's practically irrelevant. Does the parent have more love for their 20-year-old child who's in medical school than they do for their 2-month-old baby? No. So from Krishna's perspective, these are all great devotees, just some are immature. So yes, that's certainly the fact. You know, just like if you plant a tree, it may be a little seedling, it may be very vulnerable, and it may not be producing any kind of fruit at the present time that's really discernible. But yet it's still a tree. It's still that mango tree, or it's still, so yeah, anybody, I mean, Yamaraj told his attendants, don't bring to me anyone who one time genuinely offers obeisances. So this is Krishna's mood. And by the way, we're very lucky, at least I'm very lucky, that this is Krishna's mood. Because I was once in a class where a devotee said, why isn't everything fair? Bhakti Tirtha Swami was giving the class, it was New Vrindavan. He said, you're very lucky everything isn't fair. You know, we tend not to see our actual state. We tend to have a grossly inflated view of ourselves and a grossly deflated view of others. But, you know, our own state is pretty, at least speaking for myself, my own state is pretty pathetic. But Krishna sees our potentiality. He sees us as we are in reality. Does this make sense to you? So, I mean, if we really have attachment for the Lord, then if someone just says, oh Lord, oh someone's calling to my Lord. Wow, how wonderful this person is. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I move in the same house with them. And one has to have some discretion. So if someone is just at a beginning level of spiritual life, and we're functioning at another level, so we may not become their intimate, but still we have a great attachment for them, as much as one would for junior members of your own biological family. Yes? Does that make sense? Anyone else have any thoughts on this? Because I think this is a very important point. Or any other questions? Yes?
Just following up that question. So if I feel like somebody has a serious practitioner of practice and I develop that attachment, doesn't it risk also of a disappointment sometimes if you see a behavior which it doesn't?
I like that you've asked that question. When we're talking about attachment, he says it should be an unprecedented attachment. Material attachment is what we normally think of as is what can somebody or something do for me? We're attached to things, persons, activities, places that we feel are going to satisfy us in some way. And when they don't, we become disappointed and we can even become very angry. An unprecedented attachment is an attachment that flows out of an excess of attachment for the Lord. It's not conditional. It's not conditional on what that person does or does not do. If I'm full of attachment for Krishna, that fullness, we could turn on the AC if they've actually cleaned the filters. Did we find out when they clean the filters? Still haven't found it. We don't know if recent means 2 weeks or 3 months. More than a month. Have mercy on the speaker. Thank you. Okay. Sorry if there's, maybe you could move those pens over there. They might get blown though. You could just put them over there. Yeah. Thank you for being attentive to people's comfort and ability to see. I appreciate that. So our attachment is not that I'm attached to this person thinking that they're going to give me something or they're even going to be something. And what I'm attached to is their, whatever part of them has this devotion. And I recognize that there may still be some faults. I mean, one of the things we see as we go through Manashiksha is